It was a Sunday morning. The sun was shining just right through the blinds in our small apartment living room, and I remember how his coffee smelled dark bitter, but strangely comforting. He wore his favorite navy jacket, the one with the frayed cuffs and the broken zipper he never bothered fixing. He kissed me on the forehead, ruffled my hair, and said, "I'll be back before dinner, champ. Keep an eye on your mom for me, all right?" I believed him. I watched him close the door, walk down the stairs, and disappear around the corner. I waited. Dinner came and went. So did bedtime. My mother made excuses. Maybe he got caught up at work, she said, stirring the same pot of soup for hours like she was trying to mix hope into it. She smiled, but her eyes had already begun to fall apart. The next day came, then the next week, and then the years. He never came back. At first, it was confusing. I didn't understand how someone could just vanish. No goodbye, no call, no letter, just silence. I used to sit by the window every evening, my knees pressed to my chest, watching every car that passed by, hoping one would slow down and he'd step out with a grin, holding a bag of my favorite candy and a dumb excuse for being late. But he never did. By the time I turned 9, I had stopped looking. At 11, I started asking the hard questions. My mom always tried to protect me from the truth. She told me things like, "Your dad loved you so much, and sometimes grown-ups get lost in life." But one night, I found her crying in the kitchen, clutching his jacket to her chest like it was the last piece of him that hadn't vanished. That was the night I realized she had no idea where he went either. As I grew older, the confusion turned into anger. I began to wonder if it was something I did. Was I not good enough? Did I break something? Was I too loud? Too clingy? Kids internalize things. They make other people's decisions their fault because it's easier than believing the people they love are capable of walking away. And so, I blamed myself. I started acting out in school. Silent wars with teachers, skipped assignments, pointless fights on the playground. I just wanted someone to see me, to ask what was wrong. But all they saw was a troubled boy without a dad. They didn't know what it felt like to sit at Father's Day assemblies and pretend the man next to me was my uncle. Or to make up stories about how my dad was working overseas because the truth felt like a wound too wide to explain. The hardest part wasn't even that he left. It was that he chose not to come back. Years passed. I learned to live without him. Or so I told myself. I graduated high school. My mom clapped the loudest in the crowd, tears streaming down her face. She worked 2 jobs to make sure I could afford books and shoes that weren't falling apart. She never complained. Never gave up on me. She became my hero, even when her heart was quietly breaking. College was a new start, or so I hoped. But one night during my sophomore year, I was walking back from class when I saw a little boy holding his father's hand. They were laughing about something silly, probably a joke only they understood. And just like that, something inside me shattered all over again. I went back to my dorm that night and finally did what I had never dared to do before. I searched for him. It took weeks. Old addresses, outdated phone numbers, forums, message boards, dead ends. Until finally a name, a state, a face that looked like mine, only older and colder. He was living 2 states over. No new family. No visible explanation. I sat with that information for 3 days. Then I booked a bus ticket. I thought maybe he'd be shocked. Maybe he'd cry. Maybe he'd hug me and say he was sorry. But life doesn't work like the movies. When I knocked on the door, a tired man with sunken eyes opened it. He blinked twice like he was trying to believe what he was seeing. I said his name. He didn't answer, just stepped outside and closed the door behind him. "What?" I asked. He looked down, silent. "Did you even think about me?" "About Mom." Still nothing. Finally, he said, "I wasn't good for either of you." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just a flat sentence that hit harder than a punch. "I was scared," he added, "of being a father, of failing. I thought you'd be better off without me." I wanted to scream, to hit him, but all I did was cry, because in his own broken way, he believed that. I left that day with no closure, no healing words, just the confirmation that he was never coming back, because he had never truly been there in the first place. Today, I'm a father. I have a daughter with the same eyes I used to stare at in the mirror, hoping to see a piece of him. But I don't see him anymore. I see me. And every single day, I look her in the eyes and promise her something I will never break. I will always come back, because I know what it's like to grow up wondering why you weren't worth staying for. And I refuse to let her feel that way. Ever.